What is going on, good people? I was feeling nostalgic today, so I wanted to take a little stroll down memory lane to the early 90s and revisit a product and an attached experience to said product that I feel like only a certain percentage of my Gen X brothers and sisters are even going to remember. But back in the early 1990s, Coca-Cola was trying to make a move to capture more of the teenage soft drink demographic. And at the time, us Gen Xers were all teenagers, so tag, we were it. And marketing had told them that our entire generation, for the most part, was a very cynical and jaded lot that honestly I don't want to say that we were nihilistic, but we certainly were definitely in that neighborhood. So what Coca-Cola came up with was this new drink called OK Cola or OK Soda. And the whole thing was really interesting. I think they had a handful of different designs for the cans. The cans were all done in grayscale, and there were people painted on the cans that all had the same very droll, very dry expression on their faces. And I want to say that they were done by some famous comic book artist. I can't recall off the top of my head. Probably as soon as I'm done shooting this video, I'll either remember or I'll just, hop on Google. But it was the 1-800 number attached to it that was the real core of the experience of OK Cola for me. The hotline was 1-800-I-FEEL-OK. Now, you have to understand, in the early 90s, entertainment options were few and far between. We didn't have cell phones. We did have phones, but they were attached to the wall by a cord. And not all of us had a television in our rooms. If you did, you were lucky. And if you had cable on top of that, then you were balling. I had neither of those things going for me, so I had to come up with my own forms of entertainment, which meant that I read a lot. And being a teenage boy, all the time. But even that gets old after a while. So I had to come up with my own forms of entertainment. And one of those was calling ridiculous phone numbers like 1-800-I-FEEL-OK whenever they would come about, just to entertain myself. So I would spend hours just listening to these recordings and howling with laughter. Every time you would call in, it would be a different pre-recorded message that would greet you. And then for better or worse, and I don't know how this ever got approved by the company executives, they would play real life product reviews, and a lot of them were the generic, oh, this is great, or oh, this sucks. But there were a bunch of them that was just, I guess, people that were as bored as I was trying to concoct the weirdest stories they could and just call in and say, okay, soda caused this whole crazy series of events in my life. But anyway, I just want to give you a taste of what the hotline was like, so check this out.
Thanks for being such a devoted caller of the OK Hotline. Please listen closely to this OK coincidence selected especially for you. Evan D. of Portland, Oregon, called our toll-free number 63 different times in 2 days. At the end of this period, he began to hear our recording in his phone ear, even when he was not calling. Also, he found he could not remember simple things like how to drink milk or whether his shoes went on before his socks or vice versa. He lost a lot of weight and got kind of confused. This is a complete coincidence. Please call again as often as your busy schedule permits.
That brings back a lot of memories. And it was just like that. Every time you would call in, it would just be something completely nuts like that. Ultimately, though, the soda did fail, and so did the hotline. And I don't know who had the foresight to save recordings of this, but I'm glad they did. And I'm going to hit you with a couple of numbers, or a couple of more of them before I close this out. Now, fair warning, I did tell you that some of these were kind of wild.
Here are some of the countless ways that OK has changed the lives of other people not unlike yourself.
Hi, this is John A. from Fargo, North Dakota, and I drank OK, and a few minutes later I saw a man who looked like my second grade English teacher drive by in a street sweeper. Yeah, I was drinking OK soda, and like everything turned out to be okay for the day. Color seemed a lot brighter too. Hi, I'm Bruce J. from Seattle, and During my vacation in LA, a friend offered me some OK soda, and I turned it down. That was the night before the earthquake. Yikes. This is Boris the Spider from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Boris the Spider.
I was drinking OK soda, and I looked at the bottle, and it reminded me of socialist realism. The old days of the former Soviet Union with the machine shop writing and the workers drink OK soda. Workers of the world unite. It's no coincidence.
So having listened to that, I think you get the idea of what I'm talking about. And when I tell you it was hours and hours of content, unique content that was available, you would seldom ever call this hotline and hear something that you'd already heard before. It was completely nuts. And I honestly wish that it could come back in some form or fashion. But, I guess it's just going to be one of them things that's relegated to the fringes of the collective memory. But anyway, y'all, this was a fun one to make, and like I said, I was feeling all warm and nostalgic about some stuff, and this popped up in my head. But as always, pick your battles, because not every hill is worth dying on. And if you enjoyed this little stroll, like, subscribe. I'm up to the magical number of 243 now. Trying to hit that 500 mark at some point. I'd like to do that this year. If you could help, for just the cost of one subscription, you could help an emotional child reach his YouTube goals. Take it easy, y'all. Found an intruder in the room. Woo! And he just farted on me. Can I help you, you little stinker? Can I help you?